Hello, everyone. Thank you for making the time to join. Today's session is titled Why Digital Strategies Fail Without Strong Foundations. My goal in the next 30 to 45 minutes is simple to give you clarity on why digital execution breaks down inside businesses and organizations, and what a strong operating structure actually looks like. We are going to be having a practical session for leaders who are building digital systems for growth. My name is Theodora, and I operate as a fractional COO for SMEs and organizations, and also co-founder at Tiva Creative. Let's get right to it. So first, execution issues in digital strategy. What are execution issues that we'll typically see? There are critical reasons why digital strategy fails to meet objectives effectively. I know that everyone says, oh, we have strategy. Our strategy has been approved. We've adopted the tools needed. Okay, we are doing more in our organization, yet teams experience, failure in results. So what we can tell is that execution ownership can be an issue. So when there is lack of clear ownership, execution is stalled, and then there is accountability challenges for professionals, for employees. What you need to know is growth does not move in proportion to effort. You can't say, oh, we are doing a lot, every day something is happening, then you expect growth. So we cannot even say the issue is commitment. What the issue is structure. So there are some structural issues that can hinder successful digital execution. Common misalignments. We have activities that outpace strategy. So everyone is just doing. And this can lead to inefficiencies that must be addressed. Two, redundancy problems. When systems are poorly defined, you can have the best tools, but they become redundant, and this can complicate execution landscape. Lack of clarity in governance. Organization needs strong governance framework. Strong governance framework to ensure that there's effective performance reviews and, of course, adjustment when needed. And then operational dependencies unclear. Understanding operational interdependency is crucial to drive performance effectively. So weak foundations will cost any organization. When the foundation is weak, it will cost any organization. So how do we identify the common pitfall in digital transformation or digital strategy implementation? When there's failure to define system, that means you skip the definition of system before adopting tools. You just say, oh, everybody is using, ChatGPT. Now everybody's using cloud AI. Everybody is using Gemma. Everybody is using, so people are just jumping into different tools without defining system. What exactly is this tool going to help us achieve from point A to point B? So these gaps, they just cause chaos and then they hinder progress. Assume ownership and structures. Assuming ownership rather than establishing it structurally leads to fragmented execution efforts. When you say assuming ownership, you have a team or your employees, and they do not understand, the ownership structure, or rather, who owns a process, who is responsible for a process. Someone can just feel like, I know how this thing should work. And before you know it, there are issues. Excuse me. Everyone is doing what they like. So we've already talked about, the critical pitfalls we have: unclear ownership, undefined systems, lack of governance, weak foundations, inefficient scaling. So next, we look at foundational gaps in digital implementation. What are foundational gaps in digital implementation? The first gap we'll look at is ownership. We've touched that a little bit, but we're going to look at it some more. Digital often sits between marketing, IT operations, and sometimes managing external vendors. So when responsibility is shared without clarity, it becomes diluted. Identifying who is responsible for digital project execution helps to enhance accountability. So there has to be an end-to-end execution that have structural ownership, not assumed ownership, not implied ownership, structural ownership. The term here is structural ownership. So if no one owns the system deteriorates. If no one owns the system, you will not have anybody to hold accountable. There'll also be deterioration. So another gap we'll look at is tools, the tools gap. System before tools. We've touched that also a little bit. Now, any organization who wants to, leverage digital in managing operation, they need to move in a certain order. They need to move in a certain order. Okay? Now, some people, they just think, oh, I have a website. I can reach out to my customers. Oh, yeah, and then they think that everything is okay. What they do not know is that they have skipped defining how decision flow. They've also skipped defining how the data connects. How is performance reviewed? How is the work prioritized? Okay, so if you prioritize tools before structure, it's going to cause chaos. Okay, it's going to cause chaos. So the right structure helps to, give you the kind of tool that works well for your business and also helps to amplify growth. Okay, so governance is another gap. We've listed this previously, but this is now really taking each step by step. Question you need to ask yourself: who reviews digital performance? We've said, oh, okay, we want to be like, top global brands in the world, who, even though they are operating in their own locality, they are heard everywhere in the world. They are doing something that makes them stand out. So what is the governance gap that you are closing? Who reviews digital performance? And how often is that done? What metrics are we using to review? And at what point do we say, okay, this is not working? At what point or what triggers change? So when there is no governance, there is just no clear direction. And even when you say, okay, we know someone who's supposed, and they're not doing in charge of performance, excuse me, and they're not doing what needs to be done, the entire system can become unstable. Governance gives clarity. Governance gives cadence, helps us to understand who's taking the role and how well are they doing it. So far, understanding ownership and governance in execution. Okay. So when there is unclear ownership, undefined systems, lack of governance, high cost of weak foundation, consequences of poor alignment, these are the things that impact ownership challenges on digital project execution. So now we're going to look at framework for effective digital governance. The framework for effective digital governance. So what's the framework that we would leverage on for effective digital governance? So in other words, we could say, what does a good digital strategy or a good digital operations look like? Now, when the foundations are strong, execution feels different. Foundation is so important that when it is strong, execution just feels different. There is clear ownership, there is defined operating models, there is aligned tools, there's structural review cycle. So here we see that to create a robust governance structure that drives your digital strategy alignment, one, there is the importance of governance. Importance of governance. Effective governance ensures alignment between strategy and execution in digital initiatives. When there's effective governance, you find that there's alignment between strategy and execution. So strategy, what exactly are we going to do to ensure that we win? Remember, governance, someone is in charge of performance. Someone is responsible for performance. So it ensures that there's alignment between what we say we're going to do to win and us actually doing those things, okay, to get us to win. So the next we're looking at is ownership clarity. Clear ownership of digital project is essential for accountability and success in execution. Clear ownership. Everyone is clear on what they need to do, on how they need to do it, of course, why they need to do it. When there is clear ownership, you can tell that, we will get success in execution. Performance review frequency. How do we know that we're making progress? Regular performance review set against clear metrics helps to maintain momentum and direction in digital effort. Okay, metrics. We want to increase the the number of clients per quarter by say 20%. We want to, complete this phase of projects. So regular performance review set against metrics. So we're now checking what we have defined to say will help us to measure success. Are we on track? Is it being done? So when the performance is reviewed against metric, we can tell, oh, we need to move a bit faster. Okay, we need to double up our efforts. And of course, it guides the direction in digital effort. So number 4 here says avoiding chaos. Avoiding chaos. Now, the business environment is very dynamic, because a lot of things can happen within the shortest time. Policies, the economy, you know, even just things that can make the environment become overwhelming. So when you establish governance, it prevents chaos. Establishing governance prevents chaos and ensures that activities align with strategic objectives. Something as simple as, okay, when we have, issues in this, so let's typically use, say, the PESTEL framework, the PESTEL framework. And then, of course, there are issues that can cut across political, economical, social, technology, the environment, and legal. Okay, so just leveraging this frame, there are other frameworks that can be leveraged. Just using this as an example. When you create governance that handles things in these different areas, it prevents chaos because we know who is looking at what when a political issue is raised that may affect the organization. We know who is dealing with, technology issues that is raised or that happens while we are moving towards our goal. When there's no governance, when there's no governance structure, imagine it can just disrupt, like I said, it disrupts the organization in such a way that everybody is now focused on one issue when it should have been, say, one person's job to really take a look at it, maybe work with one other person, look at the issues, and then report back to the team. So every other person is focused on, the executing the strategy that has been laid down. And if there has to be an adjustment, if there has to be a change, if there has to be an update, it is clearly, defined. It's brought in such a way that we are using it to improve how we're doing what we're doing, not everybody in chaos. Okay. So remember, creating a robust governance structure to drive digital strategy alignment, we get to it's the importance of governance, ownership clarity, performance review, performance review frequency, and of course, avoiding chaos. So what are best practices for monitoring performance and enhancing decision making? Best practice, data-driven decisions. Remember what I said earlier? With the way, in quotes, everybody has access to internet, everybody, pushing out what they feel like. There's even a rush to say, let me be the first to, talk about stuff. It becomes tempting to not even take a decision based on, or be part of them, but also make decisions based on what people are saying. But then best practice means that your decisions are data-driven. You utilize data architecture to improve how decisions are made. across your digital operations. You don't just work with someone's feeling. Someone can wake up to say, I saw online that, our competitor, they are now doing this. That is not enough data to make a decision on. Okay. So having a data architecture, remember, anytime you hear of architecture, you know that, oh, something has been put in place that we can follow through, that we can build on, okay, that shows us an idea of what a typical outcome will look like. So you are not jumping on every trend. We're not jumping on the feeling of others. We're not jumping on, oh, the CEO or founder thinks that, or the board of director, they feel like. No, we are carefully making data-driven decisions. Another best practice for monitoring performance and enhancing decision-making process is define operating models. An operating model that is well defined, it fosters clarity in roles and responsibility among teams. What is our operating models? So I think one of the things that I have seen is, yes, everybody's talking about technology, technology, technology. We do not have a technology problem. We have an operating problem. So when you have defined operating models, it helps to foster clarity. Everyone is clear on what to do. I think that's one of the best thing that's happened to us as an organization. It just removes pressure. It removes pressure, it removes that, being on the edge of, hey, I have to be doing something, I have to be doing something. Okay. So for example, client come to us to say, oh, I want to get I want to say launch a digital product. I want to launch a digital product, and yes, they trust us to work with them. However, they they sometimes they believe that, oh, you are going to do everything. But the way we are structured is, hey, we know who handles what. We know who should do what. So that person is assigned, okay, to follow the process to ensure that they deliver on what they need to deliver. So that way, there's no pressure on me, there's no pressure on someone else that is not assigned to that project, because that person can just focus on what they are doing. So another best practice is tools alignment. Now, see, using tools, I've I've seen it as a challenge for a lot of people. Now, I've also seen how people jump on the next tool. They just jump on the next tool without, having a structure or understanding, having their process clearly defined. Oh, because, oh, everyone is using this tool now, let's jump on it. Now, ensuring that tools align with processes maximizes efficiency and reduces redundancy. So if your process is not clear on what exactly you want to do, trust me, you will jump on every tool. And in the end of the day, there's going to be frustration because you feel like, oh, the tool was supposed to solve your problem. No, the tool was not supposed to solve a problem that has not been clearly defined. The tool is actually to support, all right? Is to support. So something as simple as building a roadmap. Mm. Something as simple as, what's the next thing that we're going to do? If it's not clear, what would the tool do for you? Okay, what would the tool do for you? Now, even the glorified um, um, AI tools that we use today, to just say, oh, I want to do ABC, and then it starts to cough out a lot of things. That is still not an effective use of that tool because you have not clearly designed your process. And it takes that sitting down, maybe not as an individual, maybe not by yourself, but sitting down with a professional, someone, a consultant that understands, what you can do or working with you to get you from point A to the point that you want to be. So ensuring that tools align with processes maximizes efficiency and reduces redundancy. Regular strategy evaluation. Some people say, no, 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 no. In the beginning of the year, we have already said this is what we will do. Let nothing change it. In fact, we have committed it into God's hands and it shall not be moved. It shall not be shaken. Remember that you're not living in an isolated world. So evaluating your strategy regularly against performance metrics, it helps to enhance adaptability and growth. So at the time we're doing this webinar, we're halfway through the first quarter of the year. We're halfway through the first quarter of the year. Okay, so just saying, we've already set everything that we want to do, and you do not take the time to review or evaluate your strategy, will get you stuck because every day things are changing. The economy is changing. There are more regulations coming up. There are, the new technologies are springing up, better ways of doing things. So it's so important that you evaluate your strategy regularly. So the importance of a structured approach to amplify digital execution, foundational layers. Foundational layer, implementing a structured foundation across layers enhance overall execution efficiency. What are the foundational layers? What can you say, is the foundation of what we are doing? Okay, structured foundation across layers, very important. So next is identifying structural gaps. What are the gaps that we're not currently looking at that can make a difference in how we execute our digital strategy? So regular audits can help to identify those gaps. And these gaps, remember, if they are not identified and tackled with, they will impede growth. Now, clarification in prioritization. When there is clear prioritization of initiative based on governance, you can have better resource allocation. So not everything needs your urgent attention. Not everything needs your urgent attention. But if you do not understand that, jumping on everything, will not allow you give priority to what is priority. One of the things I say about prioritization is this. And and a lot of people have said it. You can't give 100% to more than one thing at a time. But then you can decide that, okay, if I give 75% to this, it's almost as good as 100%. It means that you can give 35 to something else. But if you are not taking that time to clearly prioritize, you would, expend energy on a lot of things. Okay. And at the end of the day, your resources are not allocated better, the results are not delivered, and just everything is just in chaos. So remember the importance of a structured approach to amplify your digital execution efficiently. One, foundational layers. What are the foundational layers that drive what we're doing? Two, identifying structural gaps. And three, clarity in prioritization. So when there is a weak digital foundation, you can expect that there will be poor performance metrics, weak to alignment, lack of governance, unidentified system, and unclear ownership. And this is a digital execution structure analysis that can um, help to show clarity. So before we go, when organizations recognize the gap that they have, the best thing to do is not to start with a new tool. The best thing to do is start with clarity. And we help organizations find that clarity through a digital business foundation audit. It's structured in such a way that it will check out or assess execution ownership, your operating systems, tools alignment, your governance structure, and performance visibility. And this is where it all begins. This is where it all begins. So there's diagnosis before prescription. So you don't just jump on the next tool. And then, of course, after audit, we give you a clear execution map, a prioritized roadmap, governance recommendations, because, of course, you understand your organization better, you understand your structure better. And of course, this can help you move to what you need to do. What you need is clarity, not another tool. So, of course, if you followed us through on this webinar today, the next step you want to do is reach out to us and to book your audits, to book a digital business foundation audit. Trust me, we may not even find any issues. We may not find anything wrong, okay? But of course, there's always room for improvement, and this can help to just kick off an initial discovering conversation, structured diagnosis assessments, and everything that needs to do. So let me close with this. Strategy rarely fails. Excuse me. One of the best definitions I've heard for strategy is doing what we need to do to succeed. So if your strategy is clear, it means that it should get you to succeed. But when there is execution without structure, it will lead to failure. When there's execution without structure, it will lead to failure. So thank you for your time, your attention, and your engagement. If you have any questions, I'll be so happy to take it on. Thank you. Okay, so you can unmute your mic and ask a question.
Please, I have a question, ma'am.
Yes, please. Please go ahead.
All right, ma'am. Sorry, my network.
Go ahead with your question. Oh,
Good afternoon. I have a question.
okay, go ahead.
My question is, thank you very much for the detailed answer to all them. My question is, how long does an audit take, and what does that engagement involve?
Okay. So how long does an audit take? Oh, that's a very good question. Now that's exact type of situation an audit is designed for. Typically, the process takes, if you're filling out a form, it should take less than 10 minutes. But if we're having a conversation, it should take at least 30 minutes. It involves structured stakeholder conversation. It involves us knowing the next step. Okay, so there are different stages to an audit. There is the one where you just take it and then we come back to you with recommendation. There's also the audit where we'll talk through, conversations, we'll review systems, then there will be executive recommendation. Now, we'll typically just give specifics directly. So for anyone who wants to know how long an audit take, they're just preliminary questions that we need to know, understand, then we can have that ready for you. Okay? So this conversation is best done outside this webinar. Thank you for asking.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay, so if there are no further questions, I'll close with this. Digital execution does not fail because organization lack ambition. It fails when structure does not support strategy. So if today's session highlighted any gaps in your current system, the next step is clarity, not more activity. And we are happy to work with you on this. Thank you again for your time and have a good day ahead.
So sorry, my network threw me out.
Oh, okay. Welcome
Yes.
back.
So, my question is, how much should we allocate to digital in all of this?
Okay. So digital is a function of structure and maturity. So what's your organization structure like? And then what's the maturity of organization? Now, some organizations, they tend to underspend or even overspend because they started doing more without fixing the foundation. So the more important question I think we should ask is your current system producing the kind of results that is predictable? Can you say this is our predicted result and this is what we want to do? If not, if it's not doing that already, more money may just amplify the inefficiency. Okay? So it's really not about what the exact amount is. It should be what is the structure and what is our maturity level. And of course, working with the right team, organization can help you work with a reasonable budget to get to your destination. So in even seeking for a technology partner, I think rather you thinking of maybe seeking for the people to work with, seek for partners. Partners typically they don't always come as, oh, just give me this money, let me give you back this. No, they work with you throughout the journey and ensure that you truly build what you want to build. So we've already said bye and thank you. This recording will be available for anyone who wants to catch it. And please, if you have any question, remember to reach out to us at Tiva Creative. We're always excited to work with you. Thank you very much.